Tony Stark was adopted.
One of the wildest Avengers theories that just refuses to die is the idea that Tony Stark might not actually be Howard Stark's biological son. And the crazy part? The MCU may have hinted at this without anyone noticing. In Endgame, when Tony and Steve travel back to the 1970s, Tony sets the date on the time-space GPS to July 4th, 1970. Sounds normal, right? Except it isn't. According to official MCU records, Tony Stark was born on May 29, 1970. That means he should already be a newborn at this point. Yet when he meets Howard, Howard is talking about his wife being pregnant, like the baby is still on the way. Tony plays it off with sarcasm, but he clearly looks confused, like the timeline doesn't make sense. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. In Marvel's main comic universe, Earth 616, Tony Stark is actually adopted. Howard and Maria Stark originally had a biological son named Edward, who died young. Tony was later adopted and raised as their own. The MCU has never confirmed this, but it also hasn't ruled it out. So the theory suggests that the baby Howard was expecting in 1970 wasn't Tony. It was someone else. And some fans believe that the child was meant to be Victor Von Doom. In this version, Tony and Doom are two outcomes of the same origin. One grows up as a Stark and becomes Iron Man. The other grows up elsewhere and becomes Doom. That would make a multiversal Doom asking, "Why do you have my face?" a lot more disturbing. It also reframes Tony and Howard's strained relationship. If Tony was adopted and either knew or felt it, that distance suddenly makes more sense. Even his confusion in Endgame stops looking like a continuity error and starts looking like a clue. Nothing is confirmed, but Marvel loves hiding major reveals in small details. And if Avengers Doomsday is about who was supposed to exist, Tony being adopted might not be a twist, it might be the reason for Doom's anger. Rune King Thor. One of the most convincing Avengers Doomsday theories isn't about Doom at all. It's about Thor. More specifically, his final evolution. The idea is simple. Avengers Doomsday is where Thor becomes Rune King Thor, and Secret Wars is where his story ends. The setup has been hiding in plain sight since Ragnarok, when Odin tells Thor, "Even when you had two eyes, you only saw half the picture." It doesn't sound important at first. But in Norse mythology, Odin sacrifices his eye for wisdom, and in the comics, Rune King Thor follows that same path, giving up everything to understand the runes that control reality itself. Odin's death wasn't just emotional, it was a handoff. From that moment on, Thor's journey has been about losing the illusion of power and discovering what real power actually is. In Ragnarok, he learns that his strength doesn't come from Mjolnir. In Infinity War and Endgame, he's broken by failure and grief. And in Love and Thunder, he finally redefines what it means to be a god. Not a conqueror, but a protector. Even the ending matters. His daughter is literally named Love, a symbol of sacrifice, humility, and legacy. In the comics, those are the exact traits required for ascension. Rune King Thor doesn't rise by winning. He rises by losing everything. There's visual foreshadowing too. In Age of Ultron, Thor's vision shows the Norns, Yggdrasil, and cosmic imagery tied directly to the rune path. At the time, it felt random. Now it looks deliberate. And if God Emperor Doom is the true threat of Secret Wars, the Avengers will need more than strength. Rune King Thor operates beyond the gods. He understands the rules of reality itself. Kevin Feige has even called Thor the MCU's most adaptable character. So there is a big possibility that this might actually happen. Doom is removed from Fantastic Four. One of the most unsettling Avengers Doomsday theories doesn't show Doom as a villain who lost, it shows him as someone who was erased. The idea comes from a fan edit where wounded Reed Richards faces Doom, and Doom delivers a chilling line. "I was there until you decided I wasn't. You didn't defeat me, you revised reality." That single sentence changes the entire dynamic. According to the theory, during the events of Fantastic Four, Doom wasn't just present, he was essential. Something went wrong, badly enough that Reed made an impossible choice. Instead of defeating Doom, he removed him from the timeline. Not killed, not imprisoned, deleted. If that happened, it explains Doom's obsession with Reed in a completely different way. This isn't jealousy, it isn't ego. It's the trauma of knowing you existed, that you mattered, and that someone decided you shouldn't. And this fits disturbingly well with the MCU's current rules. From Loki to No Way Home to Multiverse of Madness, Marvel has made one thing clear. Rewriting reality doesn't erase consequences. Timelines bleed. People remember, and those who are removed don't always stay gone. So in this version, Doomsday isn't about conquest, it's about restoration. Doom isn't trying to rule the world. He's trying to restore himself and punish the man who played God with his existence. It also makes Doom more dangerous than any standard MCU villain. He isn't just powerful, He's living proof that even Reed Richards can become a god, and that gods create enemies when they rewrite reality. And if Doom remembers the original timeline, who else does? Trailer timestamps. One of the wildest Avengers Doomsday theories right now isn't about variants, villains, or surprise cameos. It's about numbers. Because according to the Russo brothers, those short Doomsday teasers aren't traditional trailers, they're clues. And fans think they've figured out what they mean. At the end of each teaser, just before the countdown appears, a strange sequence of numbers flashes on screen. At first, they look like random dates, but line them up and they work perfectly as timestamps. And when you apply those timestamps to Avengers Endgame, the pattern becomes very specific. The Steve Rogers teaser shows 1/24/20. Jump to that exact moment in Endgame, and you land on the Ancient One explaining branch timelines to Bruce Banner. The scene that establishes a core rule. Changing the past doesn't fix reality, it fractures it. Thor's teaser uses 1/17/20. That takes you to Loki shapeshifting into Captain America. It's played for comedy, but it's about identity, deception, and unstable timelines. The X-Men themed teaser points to 1/11/20, where Rocket tells Thor he still has something worth fighting for. A moment about second chances and saving what's left after losing everything. And 1/4/20 lands on Rocket, asking Scott Lang if he wants to go to space. A small line, but it's the moment the time heist truly begins. The decision to break reality in order to fix it. Individually, these scenes feel random. Together, they tell one story. They're all moments where the Avengers justify rewriting the universe. Moments where they decide the ends matter more than the rules. Which brings the theory back to Doomsday. If the Avengers have spent years choosing which timelines survive and which ones get erased, then this film might not be about stopping a villain. It might be about facing the consequences of those choices. Because what happens when someone like Doom realizes he was one of the outcomes that got deleted? Marvel has always hidden its future inside its past. And if these trailers really are coordinates pointing back to Endgame, then Doomsday isn't moving the story forward, it's holding the Avengers accountable. Wonder Man theory. There's a very specific reason the MCU is introducing a brand new hero right before Avengers Doomsday, and it's probably not what it seems. Marvel doesn't pull deep-cut characters into the spotlight this late unless they serve a larger narrative purpose. And Wonder Man may be here to make one very controversial idea feel believable. Because if Victor Von Doom is going to appear wearing Tony Stark's face, the MCU needs groundwork, and Wonder Man provides it. The series introduces Simon Williams, a character whose comic history overlaps with Stark Industries, and the idea that identity isn't always permanent. In the comics, Simon runs a company that competes directly with Stark's, placing him in the same legacy-driven world Tony once dominated. Then, Baron Zemo transforms him into living ionic energy. Simon stops aging. He doesn't need food or air. His body can be destroyed and reformed. His identity is no longer tied to a normal human form. That concept matters right now. Look at the timing. Wonder Man arrives alongside Vision Quest, following WandaVision and Agatha all along. On the surface, those stories are about magic and androids. But underneath, they're all asking the same question. What makes someone real? In the comics, Ultron uses Wonder Man's brain patterns to help create Vision. Not his memories, his patterns. Part of Simon lives inside another body, while his own sense of self starts to fracture. Later, those same patterns are used again to rebuild Vision. That's the key idea. If Doom shows up wearing Tony Stark's face, the real question isn't how. It's whether identity still means anything once it becomes data that can be copied, stored, and reused. Wonder Man quietly introduces that concept before Doomsday ever needs to explain it. So if Doom is about to weaponize Stark's legacy, Wonder Man isn't a random addition. He's proof that in the MCU, faces, minds, and identities can be repurposed. And once that door is open, Doom walking through it doesn't feel impossible. Doomsday already happened. There's a growing theory that the Doomsday clock we keep seeing isn't counting down to Avengers Doomsday, because Doomsday already happened. This idea starts with the Russo brothers. They've said the footage released so far isn't traditional marketing, it's story, it's clues. And if you take that seriously, the countdown starts to mean something very different. What if Doomsday isn't unfolding in real time? What if everything we're seeing is from Loki's perspective? At the end of Loki, he doesn't just save the multiverse. He becomes its anchor, sitting at the center of every timeline. From that position, Loki can see the past, the present, and every possible future all at once. He exists outside linear time, just like He Who Remains did. So if Loki can see everything simultaneously, then the clock isn't counting toward an event, it's counting toward a point of no return. In this theory, Doomsday has already happened from Loki's point of view. Doom has already won. What we're watching are the ripple effects. timelines being rewritten, pruned, and adjusted as Loki tries to change an outcome he already knows is coming. The countdown isn't the beginning. It's the last moment reality can still be edited. Once it hits 0, the timeline locks. No more pruning, no more revisions, no more saving the world. Which means when Doomsday finally arrives for everyone else, it's already too late. So Avengers Doomsday wouldn't be about stopping the apocalypse. It would be about witnessing the final, failed attempt to undo it. And if that's true, the most terrifying part isn't Doom winning. It's that even Loki couldn't stop him. Loki's plan. The theory is that Loki's plan isn't to defeat Doom alone, it's to overwhelm him. By the end of Loki, he isn't just holding the multiverse together. He becomes something more, a being who sees every timeline at once. A god of stories who understands how every version of every hero fits into the larger narrative. And there's a comic that may hint at what that power is for. In Avengers Forever, we meet Avenger Prime, a Loki variant tasked with protecting the multiverse itself. In that story, he faces Doom Supreme, a version of Dr. Doom trying to rewrite all of existence in his image. But they don't fight alone. Both sides build multiversal armies. Loki assembles a fractured team of Avengers pulled from different realities. Multiple Captain Americas, including Captain Carter, an elderly Logan empowered by the Phoenix Force, a cosmic Black Panther, and even the Infinity Thing, a version of Ben Grimm formed from the Infinity Stones. Doom responds with an army of his own, variants of Thanos, Killmonger, and entire legions drawn from timelines he's already conquered. That structure feels very familiar. So the theory is that Doomsday adapts this idea. Loki doesn't confront Doom as a lone figure at the center of time. He gathers every surviving version of the Avengers he can find, not to win cleanly, but to slow Doom down, to fight on every front at once, and to buy time. It would explain why Doomsday feels less like a traditional Avengers film and more like a collision of realities. It also matches Marvel's current direction. Fewer isolated heroes, more variants. Wars fought across timelines instead of cities. In this version, Loki isn't the trickster anymore. He's the general. And Doomsday isn't one final battle. It's the multiverse making its last stand. It's Cap's fault. One of the strangest Avengers Doomsday theories suggests that Dr. Doom doesn't see himself as the villain at all. He thinks he's fixing a mistake. We already know Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU as Doom. And in this theory, his anger isn't random. It's personal, and it goes back to Captain America. At the end of Endgame, Steve Rogers stays in the past to live a full life. On the surface, it's a perfect ending. But multiverse logic makes it complicated. By staying behind, Steve creates branch timelines. Multiple versions of Captain America now exist across reality, timelines overlapping and destabilizing each other. In Marvel lore, that's how incursions begin. Two universes occupying the same space, collapsing into one another until both are destroyed. So in this version of the story, Doom believes Steve Rogers caused the first incursion, not intentionally, but through sentiment, by refusing to let go. And instead of seeing himself as a tyrant, Doom sees himself as the only one willing to make the hard choice. He doesn't go after the multiverse to conquer it. He goes after the source of the instability. To him, Captain America isn't a symbol of hope. He's a paradox, a living contradiction that triggered Doomsday. That changes the entire conflict. Doom isn't angry because the Avengers failed. He's angry because they celebrated what he sees as a catastrophic mistake. If Doom truly believes he's saving reality, then Doomsday isn't a simple battle between heroes and a villain. It's a moral war. Because what if the incursion didn't start with Doom? What if it started with a hero who refused to let go?